I want to start by asking a question, actually. How many of you guys feel like you hold multiple identities? Anybody raise a hand? Okay. So I'm biracial, black and white, and my whole life has been a confusion of identities for as long as I can remember. And, you know, I remember thinking to myself for a long time, I wonder how many other people are getting told who they are before they actually even know themselves. A lot of the time, throughout my entire existence, I've heard, "You're not black enough for that. You're too white for this. How come you talk like that? You're what? No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not." And that's just in my ethnic background. So many of us hold different identities where people try to question that. They try to tell us who we are, again, before we actually know for ourselves. For me, I thought to myself, God damn, can I just exist? Like, I don't want to have to be a certain type of person. I just want to be here. I want to enjoy myself. I want to enjoy my community, my friends. And at some point, I really got so tired of trying to answer that question that I stopped. I stopped answering the question and I let other people answer that question for me. I let so many other people tell me who I was. And I really, really stopped doing the thing that made me feel powerful. I stopped using my voice. That's why it's hard for me to get on stage in front of people now. Another thing that prevented me from doing was singing. Something that as a kid I loved doing. I loved doing it. I just like get up in the middle of class one day, people would be like in the middle of math, and I'd just start singing. And the teacher would be like, "Can you sit the fuck down?" But I silenced that part of myself, something that I was good at, something that I enjoyed so much that I was in competitions, I was in newspapers, I was on the TV, local TV. I grew up in Alaska, nobody cares about that. Okay. But I stopped doing the things that I wanted to do, and I started doing what everybody else told me I should do, the things that I thought I was supposed to do. I got married twice. 10 out of 10 do not recommend at the wrong time. I'm only 31. I also joined the military. 10 out of 10 recommend for the right person. For me, I needed it at that time, but I didn't want it. And this is the thing about living someone else's idea of what your life should be. It's like a shoe that doesn't fit. Y'all remember when Cinderella's ugly stepsisters tried to fit that shoe? Didn't work, right? I'm a size 10 and a half. Okay, first of all, these people here don't even sell shoes in my size in this country, so I have to go back to America to get shoes. And I realized that no matter how hard I tried, it was always going to be uncomfortable. It was never going to fit. But I kept doing it because just like when you wear high heels, it's supposed to hurt. Isn't that funny? We tell ourselves that to make it better. Beauty is pain, but not always. Sometimes the pain is the beauty. So remember how I told you I joined the military, right? The night after I graduated basic training, my brother, my sister, and almost my ex-husband died in a car accident on their drive back from my basic training. Talk about a fucking wake-up call. And in 24 hours, I had accomplished one of my greatest accomplishments and experienced my deepest pain all simultaneously. When they died, I realized that basically my whole life, I was dying too without even leaving my body. Because I was living someone else's idea of what I should have been doing. Anybody else ever done that before? Where you like finally have a moment where you're like, fuck, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I realized that in spending so much time in those other people's ideas of what my life should be, I was silencing myself. And I asked myself, if I'm only going to get one chance in this physical body, on this physical earth, why the fuck am I doing it for somebody else? Excuse my language. I'm prior military, like I said. A few years into embodying this new reality, I was in college in Texas, and literally God came knocking at my door in the form of a 9-foot metal pole. Okay? Some of you may be wondering, like, what? I'm talking about a stripper pole.
Come on.
Till this day, I have no idea how that pole ended up on my front doorstep, because Amazon definitely didn't send me something for free. Okay? Jeff Bezos did not become a millionaire giving free stuff away like that. I have no idea who the physical person was that brought that to my door, but I know who the individual was that brought that into my life.
Come on.
Raise your hand if you've seen a stripper pole before. Just one time. Okay. Now, if you've seen a stripper pole, you know it's metal. Most of the time it's chrome. It can also be brass. It can also be silicone. There's a million ways. But the most iconic representation of a pole is silver. And when I saw that thing, I get to see myself in a mirror, literally. This pole became a place for me where I could take my life back. It was about reclamation. It was about taking up space. And it was about embodying who I was, who I'm becoming constantly, and creating space for others to feel safe to do the same. And you know what? If you really want to talk about making people feel uncomfortable, boy, did I do that. Nothing makes someone feel more uncomfortable than seeing a grown woman walk around with her boobies out in a thong and 8-inch heels, okay? By the time I had really been comfortable with exploring this practice, I was working for the federal government as a civilian. I worked so hard to get this job, went to school, went to college, tried out for this job, interviewed for this job 4 times. I finally got this job. It was my dream job. I hated it. I hated every part of it. It sucked my soul out. I worked all the way through COVID. I had no breaks. How many of you guys worked all the way through COVID? Anybody? It's tiring, okay? It's tiring. And I'm doing this job, hating myself, also going through my second divorce at the time, and simultaneously experiencing a lot of dependency on alcohol. I'd get drunk, I'd be in my apartment, and I'd be dancing around on this thing, no clue what I'm doing, just kind of doing a little of this, doing a little of this, but I knew it was something that called to me. And I remember one day calling my mom after a trip I had taken with my partner to Mexico, where I realized I hated that job. And I told my mom, I'm gonna leave this job. And my mom said, well, what do you wanna do? I was so scared. I was so scared to tell my mom this. I said, I think I wanna be a stripper. My mom tried so hard my whole life to keep me away from anything sexual because she was afraid I was gonna get pregnant at 14. And honestly, had she not tried so hard, I might have, because I was really interested in all the things that were sensual and sexual. You know what she told me? Dead silence on the phone for about 30 seconds. And then, well, can I make your clothes?
Yeah.
Mama, I don't know how much of them I'll be wearing, but absolutely. She supported me through that dream. By this time, I was almost 30. I was about 27 years old. So I knew myself a little bit, enough to stay away from a lot of the troubles that come with that industry. I made good money. I met a lot of good people. And I met some horrible ones. But what that dream really led me to was an even greater dream. Because when I started in the club, it went from some of this and some of this to all kinds of things that you probably can't even imagine unless you looked at my Instagram. Okay?
And I got to make the clothes.
And you got to make the clothes.
Yeah, Mom is here.
And shout out to Mom in the back over there, everybody. And the higher calling from that dream was to create space where other people could learn to embody themselves, learn that nudity is not inherently sexual, and learn the difference between sexuality and sensuality. I became a pole coach. I got to leave the club. I got to work full-time, embodying this version of myself, embodying this sense of expression. And that led me to creating some of the most successful events in the Pacific Northwest, being one of the most successful coaches in the Pacific Northwest, one of the only people who could do it full-time. And this year, it's leading me to perform in the biggest international pole conference in the world.
Come on. Yeah.
Thank God, thank God.
Praise God.
It's also put me here in the sacred valley of the Incas. And you might be wondering why, because if any of you have walked around this town, you know there is not a single pole studio, let alone a dance studio here. That has been my challenge from God lately. But the people to pioneer things never had it easy. Never. You think Jesus Christ was walking around like getting handed flowers every single place he went? Nope. And that's why I'm going to be the first person to open a pole studio and a retreat in this sacred valley of the Incas.
Yeah. Speak on it.
This dream, this current dream of opening this space, has been something I have not been quiet about. Been very vocal about it. Shared it in my personal life, in person with people. I've shared it on my social media. And strangers have only seen a snapshot through this little tiny black box. I've had people call me a colonizer for wanting to experience this dream. You can't put that on people. The indigenous people of that land don't want it. I'm out here talking to the indigenous people of this land. And they said, girl, we don't necessarily want to see your titties, but we like your top. We like the way you move. We want to see you do it more, and we do believe that it's powerful for people here to be able to express themselves in whatever form they so choose. And if that's the form you choose, then we support that. But this person that called me a colonizer, it really got to me. They said, you've got a colonizer mindset. You just don't understand because you're light skinned, and that's privilege. You don't understand the privilege you have. First of all, this is the lightest I've ever been in my life. Actually, I'm getting darker now. Thank God for the sun.
Right.
But this person saw a snapshot of my life. In my response to them, my South Texas part of me wanted to come out and be like, fight that bitch. I'm supposed to go back to Seattle in a couple of weeks, so I was like, that's not who we are anymore. Instead, I responded by saying, I recognize you only know me through this one apparatus. So it might be hard for you to understand my experience. Their response, you share a lot on social media, so I know you. I know you. I don't care if you share every almost waking second of your life on social media. No one can ever know you from a phone. Okay? This person has never sat down with me in person. Actually, I lied. Take that back. They came to one of my classes. And I recognized when they said that this conversation was over because this person wasn't willing to see me despite my invitation. They also didn't see the years of work I put into becoming this person, the challenges I've had to face, the challenges any of us have to face in becoming who we are. They didn't see the sacrifices I've made, and they never even got a chance to see how many times I've opened up community for people to come to me, to come to themselves, and to realize that they can be exactly who they want to be without fear, without shame. I've had countless women and men cry in my arms, thanking me. But it's not me. I'm working directly. I'm a vessel for something so much greater than myself.
Come on.
For so many years, I didn't want to call it God. I didn't want to call it spirit. I hate to put a name on it. In the Islamic culture, you're not even allowed to put a face to the identity of Allah. Because the face doesn't matter. The name doesn't matter. It's what you feel. It's what you experience. This is the thing. Their version of me has never been my version to carry, has never been my burden to carry. I used to live my entire life waiting for permission to be somebody. And as a Pisces, I can fit into any mold you give me because I'm a water sign, baby.
Yeah.
Now, I give myself the green light to trust and surrender in my own vision, in God's vision of who I'm supposed to be. I don't have to ask you. I don't have to ask you. I can be inspired by that. I'm willing to listen and receive, but I don't have to adhere to that. And if I don't trust and surrender in myself, how can I expect the world and the people that I want to impact to do the same? So, I'm realizing now more and more that purpose is not something that falls into your lap. It's something you surrender to. And it's something that you work for your whole life. To become a pastor, a teacher, to travel, to share your mission. People will project their fears, their insecurities, their thoughts, their ideas onto you every single day, and that is not your burden to carry. I refuse now to shrink myself into a box so small. Because why do I have to be just black, or just white, or just a stripper, or just a veteran? Baby, I'm all of those things and more.
Yeah.
I'm so much more than that. And so are you.
Come on.
So, if you are looking for a sign to be yourself, if you are someone who has come into this valley looking to find yourself, I am your sign. I am the message that you have been waiting for, to trust in that version of yourself and to be bold, to never shrink, because you cannot contain light. You just cannot. Whoever you are, in whatever season of your life you are in, you have to understand that you are loved just as you are, even when you do not love yourself.
Yes, you are.
My name is Kiori. Pretty soon I'll be teaching dance classes here in the Sacred Valley, and I hope you come and shake your ass with joy.
Yeah.
Whether you are male, female, big, small, old, or young. I have trained every single kind of student you can possibly imagine. But more importantly than moving your body, I hope you feel inspired to connect with me, because that is what I'm here for. Have a wonderful night.